Hey there everyone, this is Tyler with Truffle Shuffle, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Louisiana-style shrimp and sausage rice featuring our Bayou Blend Seasoning. The thing that's great about this dish is one pot. First things first, what I want to do is get my stock nice and hot. I'm using chicken stock, but if you want, you could use vegetable stock, shrimp stock, fish stock, whichever. The goal over here is we just want to bring this stock up to a boil. Okay, once it's boiling, we're gonna turn the heat off. We don't need to reduce it. While this is coming up to a boil, I'm gonna get my knife work done. I'm gonna start by peeling and dicing my onion. We only need about half an onion for this recipe. And this combination of vegetables, the onion, the celery, the pepper, the garlic too, we call that mirepoix in French, right? But they call it the Holy Trinity as well. And then you also call it seasoning. Right, so this is the seasoning that we're gonna be putting in this shrimp rice. And so with our onion, we're just looking for a fine dice, okay? So I just like trimming out that root end, and then I'm just gonna go over the top, cutting into my slices, turn it, and I just wanna go really nice and small. When you're making something like a shrimp rice, you want the seasoning to be nice and small. That way you're not biting into large chunks of onion or celery. We've got a little dice, and I'm just gonna come through and give it a quick chop. And again, this doesn't have to be 100% perfect. This is just classically how we would do this to our seasoning. I'm just gonna transfer it onto a little plate, set it off to the side. My stock at this point has come to a boil, so I'm just gonna go ahead and turn the heat off, set it off to the side. We just need the broth hot. We don't necessarily need it boiling. Next up, we're gonna dice our celery. So same thing. We just wanna give it a nice small dice and then chop it really nice and fine. So just like with our onion, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Now we have our celery. And now we're gonna do the same thing with our green pepper. Okay, trim both sides. And so for this recipe, we only need about half a pepper, cut into fine strips, and then dice. So we got our plate of seasoning over here, our mirepoix, right? Our vegetables, onions, celery, and green pepper. So next up, we're gonna peel and slice this garlic, lightly crush it, peel it back. Just gonna trim the end part and just slice it really nice and thin, okay? So now that we have all our vegetables cut, we're gonna come over here and we're gonna cut our sausage. We just wanna go into nice little rounds. I like to go on the bias, probably about 1/4 inch thick or so. We got our vegetables diced, our garlic sliced, and our sausage cut into rounds. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my pan on about medium-high heat. I'm gonna get a little bit of olive oil into the pan. We're gonna start by browning our sausage. So the oil's moving like water. I'm gonna come in here with my sausage. I just want to let it sit for about a minute or two just to develop that nice browning at the bottom. All right, so I'm gonna come over here, just cook for a little bit. I'm just give it a quick stir, and you see I got some of that nice browning going on. So my sausage is cooked, so I'm gonna get it out of the pan onto a little plate, and then in that same pan, I'm gonna go ahead and add my diced vegetables, okay? I'm gonna turn the heat down to about medium, add a pinch of salt, and we're just gonna let these cook for about 6 to 7 minutes. We want these vegetables to get nice and soft. All right, so my vegetables have cooked for a few minutes. They've softened up. I'm gonna go ahead and add my garlic to the pan. And we just need to let that cook just for about 30 seconds or so, just till it becomes nice and fragrant. We're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of our delicious Bayou Blend Seasoning over here. And I'm also gonna add our crushed tomatoes. I'm gonna turn the heat up to about medium-high. And basically I wanna cook this until the liquid in the tomatoes has been removed. And they cook down and they become what we call jammy. Now that everything is cooked and it's nice and jammy, we get our sausage back in the pan along with our stock. We're gonna pop our rice in here along with our bay leaf and about half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, just a little bit. We want this to come up to the boil, then we're gonna turn it down to a very low simmer and put a lid on it. We got our liquid in there. We got all these delicious flavors. We're gonna bring this up to a boil, turn it down to a very low simmer, put a lid on, and cook it for 15 minutes. My rice has come up to a boil. We're gonna give it a little stir. Turn the heat down to really nice and low, basically your lowest setting. We're gonna put a lid on, cook that for 15 minutes. All right, so it's been 15 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at our rice. Smelling delicious, looking beautiful. So what we wanna do now is we wanna season our shrimp with our beautiful Bayou Blend Seasoning and just lay them on top of our rice. So we can be relatively generous, so we wanna make sure to season both sides. And so because these are nice, small shrimp, they don't take very long to cook. A lot of times people cook shrimp for a really long time and they get overcooked and really stringy. And I wanna go ahead and just lay my shrimp out around in my pot over here. We're gonna go ahead, lid back on, 5 more minutes. All right, so it's been 5 minutes, and as you can see, our shrimp are perfectly cooked, rice is cooked. So I wanna come over here, get a little taste test. Make sure my rice is cooked all the way. Absolutely perfect. If your rice is a little bit undercooked, you can add a little bit more water at this time. Put the lid back on and keep cooking it a few more minutes. What I'm gonna do is turn the heat off, but I'm gonna leave the lid back on with just a little bit of space, okay? This is not 100% necessary. You could serve this right now, but rice, just like meat, just like fish, it benefits from a resting time. So we're gonna let this rest at least 5 minutes. You can do almost closer to 10. And what this does, when rice absorbs water, it kind of absorbs it unevenly. And when you let the rice rest, the water spreads throughout the rice. So you don't get those clumps of really overcooked rice and then a little bit maybe more undercooked in the middle. It evens out. So we're gonna let this rest for 5 more minutes, then we're gonna serve it up. I'm just gonna cut some lemon wedges real quick, trim off the stem end, cut in half, cut each half in half again. And then I'll show you the extra move. You don't have to do this, but this is just a nice little tip. Lean it on its side. And we just trim that piece out, right? Take out any seeds. All right, so now it's time to plate it up. So we got our beautiful shrimp rice, perfectly cooked shrimps hanging out on top. So I'm gonna come over here, grab some of that rice. Be nice and generous with your shrimps on top. If you want, you can hit it with a little bit of parsley. I always like to hit it with a little bit of our Bayou Blend Seasoning right at the very end and a little lemon wedge. Finish it off. All right, so there you have it. We got our Louisiana-style shrimp and sausage rice featuring our Bayou Blend Seasoning. So I hope you enjoy this recipe and would love to cook with you again in the future.